Hey, what's going on guys? Xuen here. So today I'm going to be doing sort of a review of the new talents that's going to be added for Windwalkers in the next upcoming patch. I'm also going to be going over what I think they can do to fix Windwalkers in their current state to make them more enjoyable to play. Keep in mind, I'm going to have this as a disclaimer that these are all going to be based on my personal opinion and experience with the class. So not everyone's going to agree with me on some of these suggestions, but I would still like to see your guys' opinions and suggestions of your own if you think of anything down in the comment section below, and maybe we can think of something together. So I would really like to hear you guys' opinions on if you think that should change different things that I'm not going to mention in this video. But let's get started and kind of go over what this is. So I'm live streaming at the moment, so just keep that in mind. So there's not going to be like a recorded take for, you know, a script for this or anything like that. Let's first go over what's going to get changed. So the old spells are going to be Ride the Wind, no longer increases the cooldown Flying Serpent Kick by 10 seconds. So that's going to be pretty nice for PvP. Grapple Weapon has a cooldown reduced from 1 minute 45 seconds. That's really nice for PvP as well. Tiger Style is getting removed. I do agree with this. This was a pretty bad PvP talent, especially for threes, because it's really hard to get 3 people in a leg sweep at the moment. Or, you know, even if it's pets, it does count, but it's still pretty hard considering that you only have 3 PvP talents to choose from, and that should have been stronger. You know, maybe Tiger Style would have been when you leg sweep, it summons an effigy of Invoke for 5 seconds, like even if you stun one person, because again, you only have 3 to choose from, so that should have been a stronger talent. So getting it removed is pretty good. Control the Mist getting removed. I don't know how I feel about this one, but I will agree with this getting removed if you guys stick around for my personal opinions on what they could do to fix Windwalkers. Fast Feet's getting removed. Eminence is getting removed. I don't necessarily agree with this one because this is very powerful versus comps like Turbo when they are going to be going U a lot. Eminence reducing the cooldown Transcendence Transfer by 5 seconds can be very powerful if you know how to play around your Transcendence port, which takes a lot of practice to master, but it's something that you definitely need to learn as a Windwalker player if you decide to push Series 3s. Heavy-Handed Strikes is getting removed. I do agree with this because it's the old Heavy-Handed Strikes. It was terrible. No one took it. And Yulan's Gift is getting removed. I kind of agree with this and kind of don't, but I'm hoping that they nerf stuff like Mage Snares. So let's go into the new spells. So Pressure Points is going to be a new PvP talent. Touch of Death also applies. I don't think this is actually going to be a PvP talent. It might be. I think all of these are PvP talents. So just keep that in mind. I think all of them are. Touch of Death also applies Fatal Wounds to target, and if the target dies from Touch of Death's damage with Touch of Death active, the cooldown is reset. So that's going to be okay, but I don't think that's... If it's a PvP talent, I do not think that it's going to be good. Reverse Harm. This is the sort of... if you guys remember Expel Harm, this is sort of the same thing, except with a different name. Now, this is pretty nice, but it's also pretty bad at the same time. So it heals a friendly target for 8% of their maximum health and causes 100% healed to instantly be dealt to the nearest enemy as nature damage. It costs 40 energy, has a 10-yard range, regenerates 1 chi. But here's where it gets really bad. It replaces Vivify. So the thing is that if it replaces Vivify, this is really bad. Expel Harm is one of the abilities that I think they should bring back to the game, and actually Reverse Harm has been in the game previously. There was a glyph for it back in MOP to where you could actually heal a friendly target with Expel Harm, but you'd have to take a glyph for it. So this kind of brings it back. The thing about Expel Harm, and one of the reasons why I think they should bring it back as a baseline talent, is that it didn't heal for much, but it was a less cost jab, or quote-unquote Tiger Palm. It was a less cost energy... it was a less energy cost chi generator. Something that Blizzard forgot to do when they went from Legion to WoD for Windwalkers is bring back down the cost of Tiger Palm because it's still 50 energy. And I think that it's honestly a mistake on their part and they completely forgot because, again, Windwalkers are the least played class in the game and they're the least represented. And I honestly think that they forgot that they actually had it. And yeah, the thing is that I think that Tiger Palm needs to be brought back to 45 energy. It's not going to change much, but I do think that it's not going to change much in terms of it being overpowered or not. I still think that back in WoD, when Tiger Palm was 45 energy, it was manageable, and to the point where I actually made an energy guide on how to do rotation smoothly. So I think that Expel Harm should be brought back as a baseline spell. And what old Expel Harm did was the same thing as this, but instead of 1 chi generated, it generated 2. So again, it was a less energy cost Tiger Palm. Cost 40 energy rather than 45, or in this case 50. So let's move on. Alpha Tiger. Attacking new challengers with Tiger Palm fills you with the Spirit of Xuen, granting 30% haste for 8 seconds with a 90-second cooldown on the same target. So this can be interesting for PvP if you decide, if you're versing someone that is like a double melee comp, or let's say a comp that has a lot of pets. Taking this will be pretty beneficial because you could just kind of tap target in Tiger Palm to get the 30% haste. My guess is that you'd probably have to have weak R for that to make sure that you know when it's going to be up again. But this can offer you a pretty good burst mechanic, especially with 30% haste. But it's going to be questionable whether or not if it's going to be good versus other talents, because some other talents are really good. This is going to be interesting. Fist of Fury now deals full damage to, this is going to be a talent, Turbo Fist. Fist of Fury deals full damage to all targets hit, reduces the target's movement speed by 90%, and you parry all attacks while channeling. This can be pretty good versus double melee comps, obviously, but I'm not sure on the full damage right now, because as it stands right now, Blizzard was switching to the playstyle going into Legion to where they wanted Fist of Fury to be your main damaging ability. And then in BFA, they made it to where they wanted Fist of Fury being your main damaging ability. And in PvE, that stands truth. But in PvP, at least for now, Fist of Fury does like crap damage. It literally tickles people in PvP. It's one of the worst abilities that you can even hit in arenas as a Windwalker monk, because not only are you not able to guarantee all the ticks, it just does really bad damage. So I'd like to see, especially with testing, it doing full damage, but it's still going to be questionable because, again, you only had three PvP talents. Also, while it's being active, you have to also keep in mind that the movement speed is going to be reduced, so it's going to be a lot easier to land on your fist ticks, but it's definitely going to be dependent on, you know, how much damage it actually deals. That's going to be the breaking point. Windwalker is going to be the last change here for talents. When there's no allies with Windwalking, when you or your allies with Windwalking are snared, and if you guys remember, Windwalking is a passive abilities that monk have, that increases the movement speed of party members by 10% within 10 yards. So, whenever your allies are affected with Windwalking, all of the snares, and they get snared, all the snares are instantly removed and become immune to snares for 4 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. I don't know how useful this is going to be in threes. If you run something like Windwalker Enhance, it can be useful, but in terms of your healer getting benefits out of this, remember that you have to be in 10 yard range, like a 10-yard range for it. So if you're running something like Windwalker Enhance Mistweaver, you could run Windwalker, the Windwalking talent, because Mistweaver would most likely be running Way of the Crane, so you'd automatically be in melee range. But if you're running with any other healer, it's probably not useful if you're planning on using it for your healer. So just keep that in mind when picking this talent up. 30 seconds can go by pretty fast though. So let's get into one of the reasons why, like one of the ways that I think they could fix Windwalkers right now. So as it stands right now, Windwalkers have a different playstyle than they did back in MoP and WoD. So if you guys are Legion babies or BFA babies to Windwalkers, they used to have an ability called Tiger's Eye Brew. Tiger's Eye Brew is not like it is now. Old school Tiger's Eye Brew was every time that it built the okay, so Tiger's Eye Brew built the same way as it does now. However, the way that Tiger's Eye Brew worked back in the day is instead of ignoring, you know, your target's armor, it was a baseline ability that every 3 chi that you spend, you gained a stack of Tiger's Eye Brew, and it increased the amount of healing you did and the damage that you did by 6%. So you could only pop 10 stacks, you could stack up to 20, and you would play around that. So your main damaging abilities would, you know, Fist of Fury would hit hard, but your main damaging ability back in Mop was really Rising Sun Kick. And you had a really unique playstyle with Tiger's Eye Brew. In my personal opinion, if they brought back the Tiger's Eye Brew playstyle, like the old school Tiger's Eye Brew playstyle, I think it would really fix Windwalkers. And kind of to go a little bit more in depth about it, is that with the old school Tiger's Eye Brew, you didn't have a scripted rotation. So bring back talents like Chi Brew to where, you know, bring it back in this tier, the 45 tier. Energizing Elixir, if you're not gonna make, you know, bring back old school Energizing Elixir. If you're not gonna make Tiger Palm 45 energy, make Energizing Elixir baseline. And what old school Energizing Elixir did was you recovered 60 energy over 6 seconds on a minute cooldown. So they need to make that baseline to just help you with your rotation. But bring old school Tiger's Eye Brew back. Replace Fortifying Brew as a talent. Bring back Fortifying Brew back baseline as a talent. Replace this talent with the old 4-set bonus that we got back in WoD, to where every stack of Tiger's Eye Brew that we used, we gained a 2% damage reduction. That's huge. Back in WoD, the Tiger's Eye Brew mechanic had such a high skill cap in PvP to where you would pop, you know, 6 stacks, use old school healing elixirs, and pop 6 stacks of Tiger's Eye Brew. Then your Effuse, or your Vivify, as it is now, would not heal just for 8,000, you know? Like, that's an 8k crit. Or no, it's not an 8k crit. It's like almost 9k baseline out of 11k. You know, you pop Tiger's Eye Brew, increase that by 60%. That would be manageable. Like, it's not about the fact that Vivify and Effuse healed for no healing. It's not about the fact that it healed for pretty much nothing. That's not the case. It's the case that we lost Tiger's Eye Brew as a utility. We lost that as a utility. So it's a give and take. If I pop 6 stacks as Tiger's Eye Brew, I'm obviously going to lose damage, but I want to use that as defensive. That's how hybrid should work, is that if you want to heal, if you want to play defensive, you have to sacrifice something in return. So I'm cool with sacrificing 6 stacks of Tiger's Eye Brew to heal and play defensive, and then build up stacks a little bit later, and then go about bursting. I honestly just feel like they need to bring back Tiger's Eye Brew and bring back the Tiger's Eye Brew mechanic. Make Fortifying Brew baseline, you know, add that PvP talent and swap it. Give back talents like Chi Brew to manage your Tiger's Eye Brew. No one takes Spiritual Focus, so replace this with Chi Explosion. Chi Explosion was a talent back in WoD where your Black Oak Kick was replaced and you had a 40-yard ranged ability with Chi Explosion, and it did nature damage, and depending on how many Chi you have, it did different effects. If you used 1 Chi, it would do regular nature damage. If you used 2 Chi, it would apply a dot, and if you used 3 Chi and above, it would explode and do AoE damage, but it also had the previous effects with the dot and the regular damage. But depending on how many Chi you have, it did more damage as well. I would take Chi Explosion over Whirling Dragon Punch or Serenity any day of the week. Any day of the week. Now, the thing about Karma is that it's a pretty bad defensive. And if we get, you know, healing in the next patch, it's not going to do much. Like, Karma can be nullified, negated, CC'd, or just kited by pretty much every single class in the game. So, giving us healing with Karma, in my opinion, is a bad play. And I'd rather see them bring back Tiger's Eye Brew as a mechanic. Like, the Storm Within Fire mechanic, going about Storm Within Fire and bursting is really, really bad, in my opinion, because the AI has been glitchy ever since it's been released. It's a really, really buggy and just weird way about going about burst. Like, half the time the targets won't attack what you're targeting. You have to mash the ability constantly to make sure that the AI Storm Within Fire clones are attacking the same target that you want it to. You know, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in my personal opinion. Some people might like it, I don't. You know, the reason why they merged, you know, they made Storm Within Fire your bursting talent is because so many people were complaining that the old Storm Within Fire was really, really broken in PvE for AoE, which it was. I will, you know, say that it was really, really broken. But instead of making it the new burst, nerf it, you know, glitch it. Not glitch it, but like nerf it, you know? You used to be able to do so much cool stuff with Stronger Than Fire back in MOP. You could set down on Transcendence, have a cancel aura macro for your Transcendence, so cancel aura that, you know, put out a Stronger Than Fire clone on the healer, and then pop Transcendence Transfer, and you'll be able to swap places with your clone, and then cancel aura your Stronger Than Fire. There are all the cool plays that you could do with Stronger Than Fire back in the day. So maybe bring that back as a way for AoE. I mean, in my personal opinion, between, you know, Rushing Shade Wind and baseline Spinning Crane Kick, I don't think we need Stronger Than Fire as an AoE. Like, we have plenty of AoE, so if you want to just completely take Stronger Than Fire out of the game, in my opinion, I'm okay with that. But honestly, bring back abilities like Expel Harm, baseline, make that baseline, you know, and then bring back, you know, talents to help with Tiger's Eye Brew, but just bring back the old Tiger's Eye Brew's playstyle. But that's just going to be my personal opinions on what they can do to kind of fix Windwalkers and make them a little bit more enjoyable. Like, if you brought back Tiger's Eye Brew, your burst revolves around your Tiger's Eye Brew. You're not going to have a scripted rotation anymore. You're just not. You're going to have more freedom. You're going to feel more like a monk. Trust me, if you didn't play monk back in WoD and MOB, you felt like a monk because you didn't have a scripted rotation. With the way that Mastery is right now, you know, you have a scripted rotation. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much going to conclude it for me. I might upload a more in-depth video talking about this topic and kind of going over the whole history of when Windwalkers started to kind of where they are today, to kind of give you guys a better understanding of what I want to see changed. But that's going to do it for me for this video. Again, I am streaming right now. I try to stream every single day, so if you want to tune into that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I'd like to see what you guys come up with. If you have any suggestions for the class, feel free to post it down in the description below. I really like to hear you guys' opinion. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, you guys are entitled to your own opinion, and I completely respect that. I hope you do the same for me. But yeah, I know that not everyone's going to agree with me on this point. Again, I don't want to be overpowered. I just want the kind of rotation and playstyle to come back to the way it was. So that's pretty much all I'm asking. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope to see you on stream or YouTube. But other than that, signing off, and yep.